But yes, in the back. Yeah, we're all going together. Yeah, I mentioned that in my remarks. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I don't know if we're going to. We're all going, and we have set up appointments to go. Yes.
Senator Schumer, you asked for unanimous consent on the floor a few weeks ago. Whip Barrasso objected. What is your floor strategy moving forward to kind of get Senate action on this?
Well, the bottom line is the Republicans all voted for it, every single one, and we're going to keep at it. We're going to use every strategy we can, going to the Justice Department, seeking lawsuits, as well as whatever legislative strategies will work. Yes.
Over in the House side, the Clintons are being deposed starting today and tomorrow in the Epstein investigation. Just your general reaction into that?
Look, all the truth should come out, period. Yes.
Thank you, Senator Schumer from the Italian National TV. Just two quick questions. One, do you also see a difference in the treatment that this case has been happening in Europe and here in the
As my colleagues well outlined, I agree.
Okay. Second question, how do you react to people who say that Democrats and Republicans are enacting a new form of McCarthyism, basically judging guilty by association, whoever is in the email or...
Yeah, all we want is the truth. The truth.
Is there any danger of
Yes. There will be efforts to reach out to everyone who's willing to come forward and speak. And do you want to talk about that?
I think I mentioned in my remarks.
Yeah.
Hopefully a letter on preserving evidence and witnesses.
Yeah, so we can get it. Yes.
When you see the unredacted documents, what can the public expect from you to inform them? Can you do anything to inform them?
Well, we're not going to prejudge. Let's see what's in the documents. We want to protect people's identities, but we also want the truth to come out, and we will walk that line with great vigor. Yes.
There are an additional 3 million files that have not been released, and many, it seems, of the files that have been released remain redacted or have parts redacted. So what steps are you taking to ensure that those redactions are unredacted?
Yeah, we're going to demand justification for any redactions, and if the redactions are cover-ups as opposed to protecting identities, we're going to get to the bottom of it.
How?
We're going to get to the bottom of it. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Welcome back to 45th Perspective. Today, we're diving into a Senate hearing that has captured a lot of attention recently. One where Senator Chuck Schumer directly questioned witnesses about potential Bill and Hillary Clinton depositions in the ongoing Jeffrey Epstein investigation. This hearing is significant not only because of the high-profile figures involved, but also because it reflects the broader tension between political accountability, public trust, and the justice system. Before we get into the details, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our deep dive analyses. And if you want to support this channel directly, consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/45thperspective. Your support helps us continue producing thoughtful, fact-driven content. So, let's set the stage. The Senate convened this hearing to examine oversight and potential accountability regarding the Epstein investigation. At the heart of the discussion was whether key political figures, specifically former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, should have been called to provide depositions, given Epstein's connections and the allegations surrounding him. Senator Schumer, in his questioning, was very direct, point-blank, really asking witnesses about the necessity and implications of including these high-profile figures in the investigation. What's immediately striking is the tone of the hearing. Schumer, known for his assertive style, was careful to frame his questions around due process and legal necessity rather than political attacks. He wanted clarity on whether there was a legal justification for subpoenaing individuals of such prominence, and what precedents might exist for this type of inquiry. The witnesses, on the other hand, responded with caution. Many emphasized the complexity of involving high-profile political figures, highlighting both the legal hurdles and the potential political ramifications. There was an undercurrent throughout the hearing, balancing the need for accountability with the risk of turning the investigation into a political spectacle. It's worth noting that the discussion also touched on the limits of congressional authority versus prosecutorial discretion. Several witnesses stressed that while the Senate can request information and hold hearings, the decision to pursue depositions or subpoenas often falls within the purview of federal investigators or prosecutors. This distinction is important because it highlights why even a straightforward question, should Bill and Hillary Clinton be deposed, cannot be answered simply with a yes or no. There are legal procedures, evidentiary standards, and considerations of fairness that all come into play. From a political perspective, the hearing demonstrates how sensitive investigations can become when they intersect with powerful figures. On one hand, some argue that the public deserves full transparency. Epstein's case involved serious criminal allegations, and ensuring that all relevant individuals are held accountable is seen as a matter of justice and public trust. On the other hand, others caution against the potential misuse of investigations as political tools. There's a fine line between oversight and what some might view as a politically motivated inquiry, and this hearing, in many ways, underscores that tension. Now, stepping back, let's talk about what this means for ordinary Americans. At first glance, discussions about depositions of former presidents and secretaries of state might feel distant from everyday life. But the broader implications are very real. This hearing illustrates the mechanisms that exist to check power, to hold leaders accountable, and to ensure that no one is above the law. It also highlights the challenges of maintaining trust in these mechanisms. When the public perceives either excessive politicization or insufficient action, confidence in institutions can erode. That's why these hearings and the questions Schumer asked matter beyond the headlines. They signal to the American people that oversight is happening, even if the results are complex or incremental. In analyzing the hearing, I also want to point out the different strategies at play. Schumer's approach was methodical and pointed, aimed at eliciting clear, defensible answers from the witnesses. The witnesses, in turn, used careful, measured language to avoid overcommitting, while still providing insight into the legal and procedural considerations. This exchange is a reminder that congressional hearings are both legal and performative arenas. Senators must demonstrate diligence to their constituents, while witnesses must navigate the fine line between candor and caution. It's also interesting to observe the broader narrative framing. Media coverage has often focused on the potential sensationalism. Will Bill and Hillary Clinton be deposed? But the reality is more nuanced. The hearing was less about speculation and more about clarifying process, authority, and precedent. For viewers, this distinction is crucial. The headlines might suggest imminent action, but the substance of the hearing emphasizes careful deliberation, legal boundaries, and institutional responsibility. That's the kind of context we try to bring here on 45th Perspective, separating the spectacle from the substance. From a personal perspective, I think this hearing is an important reminder that oversight doesn't always happen in dramatic bursts. Often, it's incremental, procedural, and technical. But these moments, while less flashy, are foundational to the health of a democratic system. Ensuring that investigations follow proper channels, that subpoenas and depositions are justified and legal, and that high-profile individuals are treated with fairness. These are all critical pieces of governance that ultimately protect ordinary citizens as much as they scrutinize those in power. At the same time, I understand why frustration exists among the public. When cases involve prominent figures and powerful networks, it can feel like justice is slow or that accountability is selective. Hearings like this show both the strengths and limitations of our system. They show that oversight exists, but also that it's bound by law and process. Recognizing this duality helps us maintain a realistic perspective. Progress may not be instantaneous, but it's happening within established frameworks designed to safeguard fairness. To wrap up, the Schumer questioning about potential Clinton depositions in the Epstein investigation is a microcosm of the broader challenges in American politics. Balancing transparency, accountability, legal process, and public perception. It reminds us that high-profile hearings are not just about the personalities involved. They are about the rules, precedents, and institutions that govern accountability. For ordinary Americans, the takeaway is that oversight mechanisms, though sometimes slow and procedural, exist and matter, and that engagement, watching, discussing, and understanding these processes helps strengthen those mechanisms over time. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think the Senate is striking the right balance between oversight and political caution? How do you feel about the involvement of high-profile figures in these investigations? Leave your perspectives respectfully in the comments below. We'll be reading and discussing them in future videos. And again, if you appreciate this kind of thoughtful analysis, Consider subscribing to 45th Perspective and supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/45th Perspective. Your engagement allows us to keep breaking down these complex topics in a clear, fact-driven way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.